How do you evade capture for 25 years? How do you do that?
Now, join the search, following the U.S. Marshals as they uncover new leads in a global manhunt. Can you help catch this fugitive?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man? Listen and join the all-new Hunt wherever you get your podcasts.
Checking the top stories, Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes has been convicted on 4 counts of fraud for misleading investors about her blood testing technology. Holmes was acquitted of defrauding patients. She could face more than 20 years in prison.
The CDC is expected to sign off tomorrow on Pfizer vaccine booster shots for kids ages 12 to 15. It comes as a record number of children are testing positive for the virus. Meanwhile, in France, scientists are tracking another new variant.
The Manhattan DA's office will not charge Andrew Cuomo for his handling of nursing home deaths early in the pandemic. Cuomo was criticized for returning residents from hospitals to nursing homes, even if they had not tested negative.
Today's weather stormy across the west with rain along the coast and heavy snow in the Rockies. Light snow in the northern plains and slick conditions after that storm in the mid-Atlantic. Drivers were stranded on Interstate 95 in Virginia overnight.
And finally, the end of an era for cell phones.
Here's Will Gans with the BlackBerry's last call.
Bye-bye, BlackBerry.
The new BlackBerry Z10.
As of today, BlackBerry devices running on the company's legacy operating systems and software will no longer work, going the way of floppy disks and Game Boys and DVD players, joining the graveyard of tech gone too soon. BlackBerry devices using the BlackBerry 7.1 operating system and earlier BlackBerry 10 software won't function anymore for data, text messaging, and phone calls, including to 911. The change going into effect today, January 4th. The end-of-life move has been a long time coming, the last version of BlackBerry's operating systems launching in 2013. But for many, it's the end of an era. In the late 2000s, the BlackBerry making it possible to bring your work home with you, thanks to that infamous keyboard.
It helps me keep track of both my business and also arranging who's going to pick up the children for which volleyball practice.
At its peak in 2012, BlackBerry had more than 80 million active users. For a long time, BlackBerry's a favorite accessory of politicians, from former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to former President Barack Obama, who loved his BlackBerry so much, his team made him a secure version following his 2008 election. Writing in his memoir, quote, "My team did throw me one bone when it came to freedom. I was able to keep my BlackBerry." Celebrities love the BlackBerry too. Gaga's early selfies coming compliments of the BlackBerry. But no more. BlackBerry saying in a statement, "We thank our many loyal customers and partners over the years."
BlackBerry stopped making its own smartphones back in 2016, transitioning to a security software focus under the name BlackBerry Limited. But those BlackBerry memes, they will live forever, Andrew and Mona.
I know it's gone, but I feel like it's already making a comeback, like everything else retro.
Yes, it's on eBay, and that's what's making news in America this morning.
Stay with us for Good Morning America.
Right now on America This Morning, breaking news, stranded on the highway, the long road home for people still trapped overnight after Monday's snowstorm along the East Coast. Schools closed, chaos at the airports. What to expect today?
Guilty on 4 counts, Elizabeth Holmes, the tech entrepreneur who promised to revolutionize healthcare with her blood testing technology, is convicted of fraud. Now the woman, worth billions by the time she was 31, could face decades in prison. But the jury has decided, and what happens next?
A new Omicron record, cases among children soaring. The new protection that could be on the way as early as Thursday. Plus, another new variant is discovered overseas.
The growing mystery surrounding the disappearance of this 7-year-old from New Hampshire. She hasn't been seen since 2019, but was only just reported missing.
5G delayed, the decision overnight affecting your wireless service.
And later, from Betty White's 1977 Cadillac on display to the news overnight about the giant Powerball jackpot to a giant crab that could be straight from your nightmares. It's Tuesday, January 4th.
From ABC News in New York, this is America This Morning.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. We begin with breaking news in Virginia, where a dangerous situation is unfolding hours after a storm dumped more than a foot of snow in some areas.
Authorities are working to reach stranded drivers on Interstate 95 after a crash involving 6 tractor trailers. Heavy snow and icy conditions then continued to back up traffic for miles. Some drivers were planning to sleep in their vehicles as temperatures plunged below 20 degrees overnight.
Earlier Monday, the heavy snow brought down trees, creating an obstacle course for drivers near Fredericksburg, Virginia, and downed power lines around Washington, D.C. caused 500,000 power outages. Many school districts have canceled classes again today.
The storm has also canceled or delayed more than half the flights at D.C.'s 3 airports, and that's having a domino effect across the country. We'll check today's weather forecast in just a few minutes.
The other big story this morning, the long-awaited verdict in the trial of former tech billionaire Elizabeth Holmes. She was known as a darling of Silicon Valley who promised a revolutionary blood testing technology that could change healthcare forever. But it turned out to be a massive deception. And now, after more than 50 hours of deliberations, a jury has decided her fate. This morning, the woman once called the next Steve Jobs could be facing decades in prison after a jury found her guilty of knowingly misleading investors about her company's blood testing technology.
This verdict was definitely a mixed bag.
On Monday, a jury convicted Elizabeth Holmes on some of the 11 fraud charges she faced, including a guilty verdict on 4 counts of defrauding the company's investors. But she was found not guilty on 4 counts of committing fraud against patients.
That was a harder case for the government to make. There were more leaps that they had to go through in order to show the jury that this was wire fraud. Remember, this was a case about wire fraud, not about malpractice. So when it came to those patients, it was harder.
The jury was unable to reach a decision on 3 other charges. Holmes, sitting wearing a mask in court, had no visible reaction as the verdicts were read. Back in 2015, she topped the Forbes list of America's richest self-made women. Her net worth at age 31 was $4.5 billion. She claimed her company's device performed several diagnostic tests with only a single drop of blood. But then came allegations that the blood testing technology did not work as advertised. During her trial, Holmes took the stand for 7 days, denying she misled anyone. She also claimed that Theranos chief operating officer Ramesh Sunny Balwani was physically and emotionally abusive toward her, accusing him of controlling her daily life while the two were in a relationship, claims he denies.
I think that her testimony, though, in this case, it leans very heavily on the alleged abuse she was suffering. And that didn't carry over to the charges that she was being charged with. So I think some of that may not have been as significant for the jury as her defense anticipated.
While on the stand, Holmes said, quote, "Of course not," when asked if investors had lost money because she misled them. But during an interview with investigators before the trial, she acknowledged a number of her prior claims were not accurate.
I know that we made so many mistakes.
A sentencing date has not yet been scheduled. Holmes faces up to 20 years in prison for each guilty count, but she's expected to face far less than the maximum sentence.
Turning to the pandemic, yet another variant of the coronavirus has been discovered overseas, this time in France. Now, it's too early to determine if it's any real concern. Closer to home, Ontario, Canada is entering another lockdown, closing schools and indoor dining because of the concern that the Omicron variant could overwhelm hospitals. Here in the U.S., COVID cases among children just hit a new record. But new protection could arrive as early as Thursday in the form of booster shots for 12 to 15-year-olds. ABC's M. Nguyen is here now with the very latest. M, good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. Hospitalizations continue to climb across the country, up 130% from just 2 months ago. The U.S. Surgeon General says COVID-19 cases will continue to go up as the Omicron variant spreads, warning the next few weeks will be tough. This morning, top health officials urging parents to get their children ready for COVID-19 vaccine boosters. The FDA authorizing Pfizer boosters for 12 to 15-year-olds and recommending everyone 12 and older originally vaccinated with Pfizer get their booster after 5 months instead of 6.
It's more important now than ever for all teens to go out there and get all 3 of their vaccinations.
The CDC still has to sign off on the expanded eligibility expected when its expert advisory panel meets tomorrow. This comes as millions of kids head back to school, with the Omicron variant already disrupting classes. In LA, the return to school next week is now delayed, with all students and employees required to get tested before heading onto campus. The nation's post-holiday surge in COVID cases is breaking records. Over 1 million people in the U.S. were diagnosed with the virus just yesterday, the highest number of cases in a single day since the pandemic started. Pediatric cases are at an all-time high, with 325,000 more children testing positive in the last week.
We have patients in all age brackets with no medical history. The sickest of the sick that we are seeing now are the patients that are not vaccinated.
And now scientists are tracking a new variant in southern France, where at least 12 people have been infected. Doctors are calling it a highly mutated variant.
We'll just have to keep track of it. It has been around for almost a month, and we haven't really seen it make a big impact, so I'm cautiously optimistic.
According to a recent study, that new variant has 46 mutations but does not appear to be spreading rapidly. Experts are figuring out whether this new possible variant could pose a real threat. Andrew?
All right, Em, thank you. The surge of COVID cases couldn't stop the buying on Wall Street. The Dow and S&P 500 closed at record highs Monday. Analysts say investors are less and less concerned about the Omicron variant.
Donald Trump Jr. and Ivanka Trump are refusing to comply with subpoenas issued by New York's Attorney General. Their lawyers filed a motion to block the subpoenas stemming from a civil investigation into their family's business practice. Both of them have been executives at the Trump Organization, which is accused of illegally manipulating the company's value. Police across the country are on alert for possible violence as the nation prepares to mark 1 year since the attack on the U.S. Capitol. A bulletin from Homeland Security warns extremists who believe the lie that the election was stolen may be triggered by the January 6th anniversary.
Some people are looking for symbolism. In other words, they're looking for an event to justify to commit an act. So could January 6th be something like that? Of course it could, because it's all in the person's mind as to whether that's an important date or not, and what does it symbolize to them to commit an act on January 6th.
No specific threat linked to January 6th has been identified.
Verizon and AT&T have agreed to delay the rollout of their 5G wireless service, which was set for tomorrow. The companies initially rejected a government request to hold off on deploying the technology over concerns that it could interfere with the electronics on planes. Now the companies say they'll wait 2 more weeks to resolve any safety concerns.
A history-making deployment for the U.S. Navy. A woman is leading a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier for the first time ever. The USS Abraham Lincoln left the California coast Monday with Captain Amy Bauernschmidt as commander. She called it an amazing day.
Time now for a look at your Tuesday weather.
Well, good morning to you. It's going to be icy for many, especially after a significant snowfall from East Tennessee all the way up I-81 into D.C. after seeing snowfall that they haven't seen since 2016. And southern New Jersey, it will be a very icy go to start out your Tuesday. Now, what's next? We've got cold air rushing in midweek, and that's going to set the stage for another storm system across the midsection and moving into the mid-Atlantic Thursday into Friday. For AccuWeather, I'm Chris Nallen.
Coming up, the big news overnight about the big Powerball jackpot.
Also ahead, what President Biden is doing to try to bring down meat prices.
But first, the urgent effort to find a little girl from New Hampshire, last seen 2 years ago, but only just recently reported missing.
It's an extraordinary story.
A computer salesman was supposed to report to prison to begin a 17-year sentence.
They let him turn himself into jail with no escort.
No one thought he would run.
How do you evade capture for 25 years? How do you do that?
Now, join the search, following the U.S. Marshals as they uncover new leads in a global manhunt. Can you help catch this fugitive?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man? Listen and join the all-new hunt wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you?
How cute. Yes. So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out now.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live.
All right, we're gonna move back. Let's move back.
We're surrounded by people squeezing into this bomb shelter.
We're on an urgent delivery run.
Not afraid to go there.
So my question, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Breaking news, live events.
This is the moment.
Streaming straight to you, anytime, anywhere.
You just met one friend right here.
You're watching ABC News Live. Thanks for streaming with us.
Now, with so much on the line, more Americans are turning to David Muir and ABC's World News Tonight than any other program across all of television.
We turn now to the mystery surrounding a little girl from New Hampshire. Harmony Montgomery hasn't been seen in 2 years, but she was only just reported missing. ABC's Megan Tavrizian explains.
This morning, the urgent search to find a missing 7-year-old, last seen in New Hampshire 2 years ago.
Quite frankly, enough is enough. It's a 7-year-old girl. Let's find her, all right? Let's come together as a community and do the right thing.
Officials say Harmony Montgomery went missing in 2019, but it wasn't until last week when authorities learned about her disappearance. 2 years passing by, apparently with no one flagging law enforcement.
It's a question I've asked, all right, that hopefully at some point along this, I get an answer to.
Manchester police confirming Harmony was in the child welfare system in both Massachusetts and New Hampshire before she was reported missing. It was New Hampshire's Division of Children, Youth and Families that finally notified police about her disappearance. Investigators have spent hours searching this home, the last place Harmony was seen, even though the house now has new owners. Authorities say they've also interviewed several members of the 7-year-old's family, but won't say which ones.
We're 2 years behind the power curve, all right, in where Harmony should have been, all right, and who she should have been with. She's not with them.
Police are now dedicating a tip line, asking the public for help with a reward of more than $12,000 being offered for information on her whereabouts.
People need to do the right thing. I don't think I'm asking a lot.
Police say they're staffing that tip line around the clock, and they've received about 24 tips so far. Andrew, Mona.
Megan, thank you. President Biden has released a plan to spur competition in the meat industry and hopefully bring down record prices. The White House is set to issue new rules and send $1 billion to ranchers and independent processors. The nation's 4 top meat packers have seen profits more than double since the pandemic. The Biden administration's proposed changes are aimed at reducing the control major companies have over those meat prices.
That jumbo Powerball jackpot that could make you a millionaire overnight is still up for grabs. No one matched all 6 winning numbers in last night's drawing, so that means tomorrow night's jackpot will jump to at least $575 million.
Gotta play to have a chance. Okay, coming up, music history sold. What's happening now to David Bowie's entire music catalog?
Also ahead, a major development in the sexual abuse lawsuit against Prince Andrew. As both sides head to court today, the secret settlement just revealed.
The most powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline.
Is that the gun?
That's not the gun.
What is it? I won't ask you again then. Are you a Nazi?
The deeper you go into black markets,
You could be putting your life at risk.
the darker it gets.
Why hasn't anyone come out and spoken?
It's about the money. That's why we do it.
Trafficked. New episodes Wednesdays at 9 on National Geographic.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know.
Seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know,
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it? Feel smarter.
feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?